Welcome to our second season of P2P, producer to producteur, sponsored by the APC, l'Association des producteurs de cinéma. I am Anouk Benegolo and I will be your host. Today we're going to explore the 60s with the producer of the breakout hit The Help, La Couleur des Sentiments, Brunson Green from Harbinger Pictures. Our second guest is George Bermann, the founder of Partizan, and be sure to watch for their film Nothing But the Beat about David Guetta.
I got a job today at the Jackson Journal. I'm to be a serious writer.
Oh, Christ. I guess you'll do.
Great. You can write my obituary. Charlotte Phelan, dead. Her daughter, still single.
Aibileen, girls are pulling up and the table isn't set. Aibileen, you spilled some.
Forgive me, Lord, but I'm gonna have to kill that woman, Aibileen.
You know as well as I do. Every white house should have a separate bathroom for the colored help.
Maybe we should just build you a bathroom outside, Haley. You said to write about what disturbs me.
I'm listening.
I was raised by a colored woman. I've seen how simple and how complex it can be. She raised me.
She did not.
I'd like to write something from the point of view of the help. A book like this has never been written before.
There's a reason.
These women raise white children, but they can't even use the toilets in our houses.
Minnie, are you in there?
You are fired!
I thought I might write my stories down and read them to you.
All right, I'm gonna do it. I got to come up with your questions, too?
Oh.
Did you know growing up that one day you'd be a maid?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
Do you ever dream of being something else?
I'm on help, too.
We all are.
Have you lost your mind?
No, ma'am, but you about to.
It's going done in now.
It's quite scandalous.
You a godless woman. Things are fine around here. Why go stir up trouble?
Trouble's already here.
We'll be demonstrating here until freedom comes.
Y'all two brought me into this, but I'm gonna finish it.
That's a good move.
Courage sometimes skips a generation. Thank you for bringing it back to our family.
Please welcome our two guests, George Bermann and Brunson Green.
Hi, Brunson, how are you?
Good to see you again from a distance.
Same here. So, look, it's an incredible success story that happened to you with this movie, right?
So far so good. Yeah, domestic is 163,500,000 right now. So, I mean, my guess was it would land at 164.5. So we'll see if it makes it that far. But so far it's doing well. And then we're in 10 territories. Smaller territories. The biggest is Australia and New Zealand. So far the gross is about $10 million foreign.
I hope that you have points on the gross.
Yeah, I got a little piece. So
look, this is really a dream for all the producers, what's happening to you. Can you tell us a little bit about how things were for you before?
Okay. I started out right out of college in Austin, Texas. I went to school in San Antonio, Texas. And when I got out of college, there were no jobs. It was a recession. I had one job offer that I did not want to do. It was working in computer consulting. And I graduated in economics and had no experience in film at all. But I did have one connection in film in Austin. This guy named Bill Whitliff, he's the writer and producer of Lonesome Dove. And so I moved to Austin and interned on his movie as a props intern. It was a Western on Willie Nelson's ranch. And so I basically cleaned guns and, after I did that job, just people started asking me to work freelance on movies. Worked all over the country, did casting, worked for, I was assistant to a producer and then also a line producer, was where really I kind of learned how movies are made and how to make them and how not to make them. Eventually, a friend of a friend asked me to produce a really small feature in Austin called Fool's Gold that was an interesting movie. I don't know it was particularly a great movie, but it got into Sundance, and that was a fun experience. And then I started working with this actor who became a writer and director named Tate Taylor, and we had done several projects together. When Tate wanted to showcase his writing talent, he asked me to produce this short called Chicken Party.
So basically, you do a first short film with Tate, then you do a first feature film with Tate, and then you have this book, and it was obvious that Tate would direct it, or how did that happen?
Well, Tate is from Jackson, Mississippi. I'm from Jackson, as is Catherine, so he knows that world really well. And he kind of grew up in that situation where he had a housekeeper that basically raised him. He was a natural fit to write the script, and what we kind of had to make sure is that Tate had only done a couple of small things, that we had to make sure that he wrote an amazing script and told the story really clearly, and so it showed a vision of how he would direct it. And he did such a great job that when we went to Chris Columbus, who was a big fan of the other two projects we had done before, when he read the script, he's like, "Oh, this is amazing."
So Chris Columbus, what's the connection between you and him? You just knocked at his door, and he opened up and said, "Hey, hi, how are you? Tell me more about it."
Not exactly. It's that southern way of friends helping out friends, because Tate's sister's daughter went to school with Chris Columbus's daughter up in San Francisco, and so we had done Chicken Party and it had done really well. And so Tate basically pimped out his niece to give the movie to her friend, who's Chris's daughter. And then the daughter gave it to Chris, and he watched the movie and loved it. Initially, when we got the manuscript for The Help, and it was, it was a success. We didn't know if it was going to be a huge success or not, but it was a story we really loved. And so he read the book, but he's like, this isn't something that 1492 does, because they're kind of more family, big budget, special effects kind of movies, Harry Potter. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll just make this as an independent movie for like $6 to $10 million. But what happened was the book started rising in the New York Times bestseller list, and so interest started growing for making the book into a movie.
So you have the book, you pass the book around. Okay, when are you moving from passing the book around to passing the script around?
It was about a 1.5-year process for Tate to write the script. He really took his time on it. And so when Chris said, it's not really for me, that was a year before the script was ready. And so we kind of went on that independent track. I'm like, okay, we'll just make it independently. But basically, the week that the book hit the top 10 in the US is when Tate finished the script. So all of a sudden, kind of like, oh, maybe we should change course and reapproach Chris, because now this is something that's a really viable property. Chris was one of the first people we gave the script to read, and he loved it. He's like, this is fantastic. And so he's like, well, let's get in business together.
So how did it land on DreamWorks' desk?
I gave the book to Participant, and so then when the script was ready, they were very interested, and we were talking to several studios, and DreamWorks was actually the last studio we went to, because they were still kind of ramping up their financing. I don't know if you remember, they split from Paramount, and so there was this kind of time period where they were kind of figuring out exactly what type of movies they wanted to do. We had a lot of interest from Participant and from some other studios, but we had several passes. And then when we went to DreamWorks, it was the week, once again, luck has it, it was the week that it hit #1 on the New York Times bestseller list. And so, Stacy, who's been a big fan of the book, Stacy Snyder, it was like a love fest. Because we had shot some footage of some real housekeepers from Mississippi to kind of show this is what the feel of the movie's going to be.
So you had a kind of sizzle reel?
Yeah, we had a little sizzle reel. And we had also scouted Mississippi, because we really wanted to shoot in Mississippi. We really wanted Tate to direct the film, and he had written a great script, And so we wanted to kind of show his vision too, to say like, this is what we're going to deliver to you.
So tell me a little bit more about the sizzle reel. What did you show? You showed the locations, you showed some housemaid. Was it like a reel? Was it a book? Well,
we basically we went with our production designer, who was a dear friend of ours for years, he designed Julie and Julia. He's amazing. He's great. And so we flew down there right before Christmas and shot. We scouted the locations and figured out that Greenwood, Mississippi had the majority of the locations that we wanted, because it's a town that's kind of, in the 60s, economically, it died. So architecturally, it looks like the 60s still. This is the lookbook. And so it has all of the, kind of, these are the locations, like that's the Junior League, and that's the style of what the interior of the Junior League will look like. And so it really kind of gave, and this is what became our ballroom, that we completely renovated to look like that.
And Tate was quite reassuring in the fact that he had already done a short film where the actors were good, so there was no concern about whether he could direct actors or not, right?
Exactly. He's an actor himself, and he's fantastic with actors. He's just great. So, and also, Tate has this certain confidence about him as a director that he's going to deliver it. He's fearless, and so I think that came across in the room, and everybody was comfortable, and
they made the check.
Oh yeah. They wrote a check right there.
They wrote the check. Hey, so how much was it? 28? 25?
Around 25. Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, so now you're in business. What happened then with Participant and with the Arabic Fund and all that? How all that went together? Is this DreamWorks who dealt with it, or you were involved?
Well, I was initially involved because I was the one who kind of tried to get them to do the movie originally. And so then they called me back and they said, we really want to be a part of this project. It's a fantastic story, and it fits into their, I don't know if people know what Participant's about, but they're all about social change and positive messages in films. And so they really wanted to kind of use that message with high school kids across the U.S. And so they've done some programs in conjunction with the help with high school kids and stuff.
What's interesting is that there is no massive cast, in your movie. It's Emma Stone is, she's great, but she's not a super big star neither, So yeah. How did that happen?
Well, basically, so many people love this book here in the States. We were really worried. We didn't want to cast it with huge movie stars because people have their own conception of who Skeeter is or who Hilly is in their mind. So you don't want to put Jennifer Aniston in as a 21-year-old naive girl. So what's cool is that DreamWorks went along with it. They didn't say, oh, you have to plug in famous faces because we're worried about the foreign or whatever. They were very respectful of Tate's wish to have the best actress for the role. And one of my original jobs was in casting, so I love the casting process. And one of my first bosses in film is Kerry Barden, who's a cast director, and he's our cast director for The Help, so I got to be his boss this time. So he is the one who suggested Emma Stone. Tate had never heard of her or seen her, and he loved her instantly. So once he met with Emma, he knew she was perfect for Skeeter.
Get your hair fixed.
I got a job today.
Where?
Writing for the Jackson Journal.
Great. You can write my obituary. Charlotte Phelan, dead. Her daughter, still single.
All the other actresses were people that we read and brought in. So, like Jessica Chastain, she is somebody that we had never heard of or seen, and when she came into the room, it was just amazing.
The Terrence Malick movie was not out yet?
Oh, no. I instantly was like, oh, she's totally not right for the role. Because the part of Celia is like this big boobed blonde woman, almost like a Marilyn Monroe type, and Jessica's like this very petite, soft-spoken redhead, and so instantly, oh, she's not right. And after she read her first scene, we were literally captivated by her. Like, she's just amazing.
Well, what time you want me here?
After 9, and you gotta leave before 4.
Okay. Now, what your husband say you can pay?
Johnny doesn't know I'm bringing in help.
And what Mr. Johnny gonna do when he come home and find a colored woman in his house?
It's not like I'd be fibbing. I just want him to think I can do this on my own. I really need a maid.
So now you're in business, you have the money, you have the cast, you have the script, you have everything. So you go to Mississippi. You told me previously that it was a great experience, that it was a real pleasure to shoot there, and that the tax credit was fantastic. You use the tax credit there. In which pocket does it go? Does it go in your pocket? Does it go in DreamWorks' pocket?
No, it goes towards the bottom line, because in the States, I don't know how they do it in Europe, but in the States, the rebate is built into the budget, so it's in the bottom line. It's right past post, so it goes straight back to to DreamWorks.
And what is the percentage of the local crew that you had compared to the entire crew?
It was not much at all. Because Greenwood, Mississippi is a tiny town in North Mississippi. We had a lot of crew members from, we had some from North Carolina and Georgia, and some from Louisiana, but a lot of them were from Los Angeles. All our keys were from Los Angeles. I'd say we'd have, with the Teamsters and stuff, maybe we had 30 local crew members. Because there hasn't been a major film shot in Mississippi in 15 years. And there used to be a really consistent, great local crew, but at the time, because there's been such a dearth of shooting there until this rebate came into play, that it's going to take some time for a crew to really build back up there. But one of the advantages of shooting there is that everyone is so hospitable and open to film production there. So you get a lot more latitude in shooting in your locations, and you don't have to pay, like in Los Angeles, you don't have to have a fire marshal there if when you're shooting with a certain number of people in Mississippi. You just don't. And here you have to pay for a fire marshal who gets a guaranteed 8, and it's just like you're just doling out the cash. And that's an advantage of shooting in the South.
Okay, so now you're done shooting, you start editing, and usually this is the moment where things are getting a little bit more complicated with everybody, giving their opinion. So how was the process with that? Did it go really nicely? Did you do test screenings? What were the lessons of the test screenings, etc., etc.?
Okay, an interesting strategy is that Tate asked for a test screening of his rough cut, which is very rare and it's expensive. And what's great is that Stacy at DreamWorks said, okay, fine, if that's what you want to do, we'll do a test screening. So we all flew to Kansas City and did a screening for 300 people. Really, really rough. No CGI, super temp music. Like something, I think it was something that Tate didn't know what he needed to cut. He knew the film needed to be shorter. He really wanted to see it in front of an audience to kind of feel where it's lagging. Because you can really, when you have 300 people, you can really kind of feel when people start coughing or shuffling. And so we did our test screening in Kansas City, and the funny thing is that it tested, I think, in 89. And so the problem is,
89.
Yeah, like a lot of times when you test like in the 85, then you're done. But the thing is, like, Tate wanted to make the film better, and so we
look, testing 89 is pretty amazing. But so that raised one question: how did you recruit the audience? Did you target an audience?
No, it's balanced. It's all done by a market research company, and so they They get all 4 quadrants are represented. So, you know, they get the under 25, over 25, male and female. And so the cards, you know what the comments are based on. It's a kind of an amazing science. You know exactly that that's a male who's African American, who didn't like this scene or didn't like this actress, or loved this actress or whatever. And so those comment cards we all read, and that's kind of how Tate figured out what needed to be changed. Tate went back into the editing room, did some major changes, some like really interesting switches and cuts that, but it made the film a better film. And so then we tested in Pasadena, which is the hardest place to test in the country.
Tell me about it.
And, yeah,
I did a test screening there. Woo, very depressing.
Yeah, and so what was fun is I think the studio thought that they were going to teach him a lesson, that the film needed to be shorter, and it scored a 93. And so yeah, and it was 2 hours and 20 minutes long or something. So like, oh wait, okay, they still like it because it's long. And what's really cool is that the studio supported the length of the film, because they're like it feels like it's the right length. And then eventually Tate did some more cuts, and it eventually scored a 97.
Well, that's amazing. You know when I looked at the time of the movie, at first I thought, "Whoa, this is going to be long." You know, I was okay. I've got to see it, of course. You know, but you don't really feel that it's that long at all. You know, it really flows. You're never bored.
Right.
And there's always something very interesting, and of course, it's because it's emotional, but also the cast, is really great, and you really believe in the whole story. So that's great. So okay, so once you're done with the editing, what was the balance in terms of targets about targeting a young audience or a more adult audience?
Well, we tried to emulate the marketing like the book. So basically, originally book clubs were the people that read the book, and then they ended up passing on the book to their friends and family members, and also a lot of like husbands. And so our first target was for book club readers to go as a group and fall in love with the film just like they fell in love with the book. And we were thrilled with the results, because we knew that our multiple, because how usually you get a 4-time multiple for most decent films. We figured our multiple would be a lot higher, and it's going to end up around 7. So it's like basically you multiply your first week's gross and then multiply it by 4. But we've kind of been slow and steady. So what happened was these women went to see the film that were with their book club members. And they all had they cooked Southern food and then went and saw the movie, and had mint juleps afterwards. And then they ended up the next week taking their husbands to see the movie. The same women. So we've had people say that they've seen the film 8 times.
Great. So now I guess that you can walk in any studio and get any movie done, right?
No. I think
I have a project for you.
Okay. No, but I think French, like we were talking about, the French producers have it so easy. Y'all just got money flowing. Our perception of y'all is y'all have money just like, you go to a tree and you just pluck off some euros off the tree and go make your next film. It's not like that in the States.
Really?
Yeah, because we don't have...
You don't have the same trees.
We don't have euro trees. The thing is that development, for an independent producer, we don't have the access to development money like y'all do. We have to develop a lot more projects at the same time and hope that one sticks. And yeah, I mean, it's been great. I have access to a lot of people that I didn't have access to before, and that's been fantastic. But it's always hard to make a film here in the States. It's money's tough to come by.
So tell me, concerning the movie itself, it was very interesting for a French audience to watch it, because we thought that it was extremely melodramatic, you know, towards the end. And what was quite striking is that there was not just one layer, you know, of ending. There was, you know, several layers of endings. It looks like you had to show the ending of the story of each character. Why was it so insisting? You know, I mean,
Yeah,
it worked, but I'm curious to, you know, to understand, you know, that difference between, you know, an American movie and, you know, and maybe a French movie or a European movie.
Well, there's two reasons. I mean, one is the main reason is because of the book, and the people who read the book fell in love so much with the characters. They want to make sure all the characters, where they end up. And so a lot of people, when we talked to them about the book before we even finished the script, you know, they said that they fell in love with these characters. They feel like friends to them, and they don't want to leave them. Like, they were sad that the book was over because they want to continue with these people's lives. We did about 5 test screenings. That when we did take out some of those endings, people were like, "Well, what happened to Minnie? Abilene? What's gonna?" You know, that was one of the biggest complaints.
Oh, that's interesting.
Maybe that's the difference between American audiences and French. Like, y'all can be very vague and.
But I thought that it was very deliberate, so I wanted to understand why. But this is a very good explanation.
Okay.
Great. Well, look, fantastic. It's fantastic all the way. It's a great story. So thank you very much for telling it to us.
Okay, sounds good. Okay.
Great.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching, and see you soon.